How's it going, guys? So I'm back with another Raw review. This is probably the most consistent I've been in the last couple of weeks, but it is Mania season, so I figured, I do plan on watching Mania. And I figure let's try to keep the reviews consistent until then. After that time passes, I wouldn't say to really expect consistent reviews on this channel, if any. That Mania is really going to be the last straw, and I'm really expecting it not to deliver. So, I would not really get my hopes up about continuing these reviews. But anyway, let's talk about this show tonight. Because as you might have guessed, whatever thumbnail I chose or title on this video, I don't know yet at this point. We'll see where it goes, and as we talk this out, we'll see, just truly how I felt about this show. Because, I can think about this show, but then when I start talking about it, then I'll really realize, how truly terrible it was. And, well, just from the offset, it was pretty bad. So let's start like we always do from the top and work our way through all the cringy little bits. I'm going to tell you what I liked, which is not a lot, and of course what I didn't like, which is in quite abundance, we will say. So we start off, and we've got Seth Rollins in the ring cutting a promo. And I'm just going to say one thing here about Seth Rollins' appearance. I see there's a few little things that they've tweaked. First of all, I've said this, I said this last week. He's not as annoying. When he's a heel, he comes off a lot more likable. Something about his voice when he's being heelish, it's not quite as annoying. It's not as grating. When he was a baby face, and his voice just really started to come out, because he was always like talking like in this high-pitched, higher register, getting all excited, and now, we get kind of a bit more of a calm tone from him. So that lower register in his voice seems to come out a bit more when he plays this type of character, kind of like what we saw from him back in like 2015, around that time period, which is much preferred. Still not a Rollins fan, but if we need to have Rollins around, I'd much rather him this way. Let's talk about the appearance. Like, okay, they're giving him the man bun. Obviously, a more arrogant appearance from him. But, like, the jacket, like, I kind of know what they're going for there. Kind of like a bit more of a frilly, like, fluffy kind of, like, leather jacket. But it really is, in essence, just kind of like a bit of a more frilly bomber jacket. Why don't they go full force and give him something a bit more Masianic? Give him like a Technicolor Dreamcoat. Like, get creative with it. Like, do something. Give him a long robe or something. Make him look like a clergy or some sort. Make him look like a cult figure leader. They got the idea right with the t-shirt, but, beyond that part, there's not really a whole lot that's changed. Like, I don't get it. Like, with all the different investments that they make, like, they don't want to spend any money. How much would it cost to get him a robe? How much would it cost, to kind of get him props? Like, why not kind of, like, give him a segment and, go, like, all in. Like, that's the problem. They don't go all in anymore. Like, if you're going to give someone a character, like, why not, like, make this, the Monday Night Messiah? Why not make it look like a church? Do something like it, and it could be so much better, because that at this point it's not even good. It's really just a nickname on top of the thousands of other nicknames that Seth Rollins has been given over the years. The Beast Slayer, the King Slayer, Iowa's Own, the Architect. Like, come on, there's so many names for this guy, and that's only like half of the nicknames that I could actually remember. Beyond that, there's nothing really too different about this. It's basically like you're getting heel Rollins again. It's 2015, 2016 Rollins once more, with not much changing. Kevin Owens comes out, and like when Owens came out there with the Viking Raiders, I can't help but think to myself, like, what are they even doing with this guy? Has anyone noticed, like, Owens is another one of those guys where it's like, kind of like the Braun Strowman deal. The career is up and down. Honestly, it's like they can't stay consistent with Owens. They brought him into the company. They have him beat John Cena right away. Then they get the big idea to put the title on him. Triple H hugs him backstage. He's the indie darling, right? He's the savior of the Smarks. Then they sacrifice him to Goldberg. And then after that, he feuds with Vince McMahon. He gives him this shoot headbutt. It's a big thing. It looks like Owens is about to move on to the upper echelons. He feuds with Shane McMahon for a little bit. And then, they put him with Sami Zayn, and it just basically goes nowhere. And now then we got into this phase where they tried to do like Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon with the roles reversed. They tried to, instead of Shane being the face and Owens being the heel, Owens was the face and Shane was the heel. And, then he became like the next Stone Cold Steve Austin and started using the Stone Cold Stunner. It's like, at this point, it is pretty clear that this is not the next Stone Cold Steve Austin. This is Kevin Owens. It's the same fat, out of shape guy that, I'll admit, has pretty good promo skills. I've always thought that since watching him in Ring of Honor. But it's pretty clear that this is a guy that's really not going to be anything. And I've got a lot that I want to say about this, about how this company doesn't move forward. There's a glaring example here. So he's got the Viking Raiders with him. Joe comes up from behind. I thought that there was a wellness policy violation. I don't know what happened with that, but I guess that wasn't the case. Maybe the dirt sheets were wrong, or maybe they found out that the testing was wrong or something. And anyway, the baby faces clear the ring, and we move on to the next segment. Cringey Lynch defeated Asuka. This kind of, looking back on it, there was nothing really here to speak of. They do 1,000 victory rolls. Lynch wins out of nowhere with a rock bottom, which was odd. Then Shayna Baszler comes out of nowhere, and, because this is what the Smarks wanted, she comes out, knocks Cringey to the floor. Then she takes a bite out of her neck, like the back of her neck. She comes up, bleeding with blood coming out of her mouth. Lynch is like bleeding from the back of her neck. And it looks like the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. And for once, I have to say I agree with Wade Keller. I agree with the dirt sheet marks, because it really did look stupid to me. And I see people writing underneath it on YouTube like, oh, this is the closest we'll ever get to the Attitude Era. This was something that would not happen in the Attitude Era. And my thoughts exactly what Jerry the King Lawler said. Vampire much? Like what? Like who? This is supposed to be a former MMA fighter, right? Why is she biting people? When do MMA fighters bite her? Like, if you're gonna bite somebody, it's usually like a last resort, right? Like, she's doing a run-in. Why is she biting her? Why, if they wanted to do blood, why doesn't she just like punch her in the face until she bleeds? Like, okay, it doesn't need to be a shoot fight. Now, okay, if Becky Lynch wants to be the man, I don't understand. Like, why doesn't she like have Shayna kind of beat her up, and bust her open the hard way? And you're like, oh, Brad, well, you want that to happen to Lynch? No, but I'm just saying, if Lynch wants to get in there, if old Cringey Lynch wants to get there and act like she's tough and the word woman should be removed from the women's division. Why not? Why not have her have someone as tough as Shayna Baszler bust her up a little bit, right? We would respect her more, I would think. I mean, I don't care either way, but having someone bite you on the back of the neck just looked dumb and stupid and like unnecessary. Like an unnecessary violent thing that didn't need, and it's because it doesn't make any sense. Who just like bites the back of someone's neck? Unless we're talking about, you know, a vampire movie. This is a Dracula movie. Like what were they going for here? Obviously something violent, but it was the wrong type of violence. I mean, we're talking about like a cannibalistic act. Is that what Shayna Baszler is? The Hannibal Lecter? No, that's not her character in NXT, and I don't even watch NXT, and I know that. So you're going to bring her on, and this is the big first impression that we get of her. Oh, she was at Survivor Series. Like, no one even remembers that. Are you kidding me? No one even remembers that. So they're going to bring her out for the first time in months, and this is what she does. She bites into Becky Lynch's neck. If you're going to sit there with a straight face and tell me that this was good quality television and this is like good build for WrestleMania, I mean, I got to tell you something. I didn't think it could get any worse than that segment from last year. Remember that segment that all the smarks were praising? Remember the one where like Charlotte and Cringey Lynch, remember they were all handcuffed in the back of the car and they were like, you know, beating up the cops and everything, and it was like so over the top. It was goofball city to the umpteenth power. I don't know, but we're getting into that territory with some of these segments, and we're not even done with the bad segments, but this was the worst women's segment on the show. And there's also more parts to it because they actually strung it throughout the show, which is so funny. It's like, that's something they were not doing. They were not stringing things throughout the show, right? Nothing to hook anybody. And the one thing that they string through the show is the worst thing that the show has to offer in the Cringey Lynch, Shayna Baszler angle. So this is not the last we've seen of it. So credit for them for trying to tell a story. But like I said, tell a story, but please tell a good story. No, we're getting told a bad story instead. So we're going to get to that eventually. The Street Profits defeat Mojo, Rawley, and Riddick Moss. And this is the first time that, you know, Riddick and Mojo are teaming together, at least on TV. And Riddick Moss has got a great physique, I have to say. I like Mojo. I really feel this guy has potential. I really think that this guy does look like he could be something. You know, pair that up with the NFL background, and, you know, you've got a recipe for a star here. And he looks like he's hungry. He looks like he's willing to work. And anyway, we have this match. The Street Profits are like, they're not even on TV. They pop up out of nowhere. They have a random match. They're doing some weekend update garbage a few weeks ago. They totally disappear from sight. They're back there. They're back on TV again. Total random. And then when the match ends, Street Profits, they get on the top. They what did they do? They pinned Mojo, I believe. No, they pinned Riddick Moss or something like that. Whoever they pinned, whatever. You've got Riddick gets near Mojo, small packages him. The referee's not even in the ring. That guy's ringside. He's holding him there. You could have counted to 10 easily. You could have done a King Kong Bundy style count. And the referee gets in the ring, gets on his hands and knees, doesn't even really rush, mind you, and goes 1, 2, 3. And that's the end of the 24/7 reign for Mojo Rawley. Riddick Moss runs into the crowd. Mojo runs after him, half-heartedly anyway. And okay, so there's a few things here. So apparently, when you have a match, the 24/7 rules are turned off like a light switch. You know, it's almost like a video game where you could like change the rules before you start it. Oh no, you can't pin him during the match, even though it's the 24/7 title. Never mind that. Never mind names on things, right? What's in the name, right? You know that expression, what's in the name? Doesn't mean anything. 24/7 title. You know, it's more like 23.75 title. It's, you know, you gotta, you know, figure out the equation because it's not really 24/7. It's just part of the 24/7. Anyway, that count was pathetic. By having Riddick Moss, this amateur guy, you know, build or not, Mojo's a big guy too, comes out of nowhere. First of all, like, I don't even know how this is supposed to, like, get him over. Winning a worthless title when we don't even know anything about this guy. We just know he's Mojo's pal. Pins him out of nowhere. Pins him in the phoniest way possible. We're supposed to believe that weak, small package is going to keep Mojo down for like 10 whole seconds while the referee gets in the ring. Like, it's one thing if the referee was in the ring. Not only is this like something that no one even cares about. This is what I'm saying. Like, you're making Mojo look like a goof for no reason. First of all, there's no reason to have Mojo look like a goof. Second of all, you're going to unprecedented heights to make it look even worse than it needs to. I mean, to have him like being held down for that long, I mean, it just makes everyone involved look like a bunch of clowns. And then Mojo doesn't even really bother to chase after him all that much. He kind of like gets halfway and then quits. Just sad, depressing, pathetic. Like this right here, this segment totally encompasses what the current WWE product is. Half-hearted, lame, lazy, just like whatever. Oh, he's slowing them down for 10 whole seconds. It looks like anyone could have kicked out of that small it's a small package. And what is this thing like? It's so lame that like every pin for the 24/7 title has to be some sort of roll-up or small package. Like this was a move that ended one of the best matches of all time. This small package, Ricky Steamboat and the Macho Man. Somehow this move has morphed into like the weapon of goofballs. Like, you know, it's the engineered move where you want to make something look totally goofy. You know, this is a move that even managed to beat Kane, right? R-Truth. You know, it's either an inside cradle, it's either a schoolboy or something like that. And that's like, it's like you have to use that move in order to win this title. Is that like one of the unwritten rules? You must roll somebody up in order to win. Do Oklahoma rolls count? Do La Magistral cradles or victory rolls? Can you use those roll-ups too? I don't think you can because I haven't seen those moves used yet to win the title. I mean, you tell me. What are the rules? What are the exceptions? Are there any? Does anyone care? Altogether, just completely awful in every single way. Then we cut back once to Becky, and she's like refusing medical attention. Then we go back again after this match, and Cringey Lynch decides she like pushes the doctor out of the way. She's like, all right, if I have to go to the hospital get medical treatment, I'm going to drive myself. She takes the driver, pushes him to the side, drives herself to the hospital. I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a minute. Becky, this is the line here that's going to be used on the dirt sheets and by the smarks and the she's the man fans, right? This is what they're going to say. Becky is so tough. She won't, you know, she can't bear to have someone escort her to a hospital. So she's going to get into the driver's seat and drive herself. The thing is, what just makes this totally unbelievable is if you're going to have Shayna Baszler be a threat and like bite her on the back of the neck and like have her like start to bleed out, how realistic is it to have Becky Lynch driving herself? Like, wouldn't they need to like pump blood into her? Wouldn't they have to like put an oxygen mask on her or something? Like, not only are you cheapening the whole, not only was it stupid what you did, but you might as well go the full way with it, right? At least have her nurse the injury. At least try to salvage what you have. Like, don't give people like me the opportunity to come here on YouTube and really criticize this, because now you're just making this into Barnum and Bailey. Like, this is Ringling Brothers stuff right here. You're like, just honestly, like, not even trying here. I'm gonna drive myself. Wow, she's so tough. This 90-pound girl driving herself to the hospital. And, you know, and once again, we're going to have people comparing her to Stone Cold. Oh, she's tough like Stone Cold. So tough. She's still getting medical attention, but she's driving herself, which is just ridiculous. Like, did she really, like, drive to the hospital? Did she go into, like, okay, if they actually showed her go to the hospital and like actually drive into the parking lot where where all the other ambulances are parked, and like, push open the ER doors, like, then that could have been funny. I could have been like, all right, this is hokey and stuff, but at least they're filming something, off site, and it's, they're putting effort into it. No, I can't even say that, because they're just going to make it goofy, but they're not even going to commit to it. They're going to be goofy and lazy, though. Two worst combinations right there. If you're going to be goofy, at least go full force with it. Because when you are goofy, like, goofy could be comedy. Let me clarify here. There's two types of goofy. There's goofy funny, and then there's just goofy bad, and this is goofy bad. This is not, like, entertaining, goofy hijinks. This is just really bad, terrible stuff that's laughable because it's terribly written, terribly produced, and, like, is it produced? Can you even say? Because, like, saying that something's produced would indicate that there's a producer, that there's actually somebody doing a job here that's like supervising the production of the segment. I don't know who the producer is here, but like, they better stay anonymous for their own sake, because this is an embarrassment here. Just total, like, embarrassment, like, laughing, like, try to tell a story, but you're making people laugh at it. Like, you just showed, Shayna Baszler drawing blood, in like one of the most disgusting ways possible, and then you goof it up with this nonsense. Then we have a nice surprise here. It's the MVP Lounge with Drew McIntyre. But, okay, like, I understand we want to get a cameo from MVP, do one more lounge. He's trying to say that he wants to, be Drew McIntyre's manager, but Drew doesn't really want it. He says he doesn't need somebody speaking for him. If Drew keeps talking the way how he's now, I know it's not his fault, but I'm just, saying this for the sake of the review to be entertaining here. But, like, if Drew keeps talking the way how he is going, they're going to need somebody to talk for him. No, but in all, like, seriousness, this is cringy Drew. This is Cringientire, Drew Cringientire. Is that a good nickname? It's gonna be as good as you're gonna get for this review. It's But anyway, Drew McIntyre, like, okay, he did still do the 1, 2, 3. I'm not getting, like, this is the most, or was it 3, 2, 1? Like, he's getting ready to blast off like NASA McIntyre, just like, what a stupid thing to do here. Like, no creativity. Hey guys, how do we warm up for something? Well, we can't do the stomps in the corner because Seth Rollins already took that from Shawn Michaels. We can't have him crouch in the corner because now Edge is back and Roman Reigns does that too. So we can't have him bang on the mat. Orton does that. So instead we're just going to have him count down like he's, like he's from the Count from Sesame Street, basically. What again? Lazy? Like, obviously that's not his own thing. They told him to do that, kind of like something to excite the crowd. They are doing it with him. I will say that, so it has caught on with the smarks anyway. But everyone else is like, her 3, 2, 1. God, anyway, like, it just, man, can they come up with anything cool or catchy? Like, is there no one back there anymore in creative? Any one of the agents or whatever they're calling them nowadays? Like, no one back there has any good ideas? Can like any good idea make it to TV? Is that possible? Does anyone actually stop and think about that for 1 minute? It's like any idea. Can any idea like cross that threshold of creative meeting to TV and be something cool? It doesn't have to be something lame or really like unbelievably stupid. Like it's always has to be something like that. It's nothing that could seem very modern and like, or at least like old school, like how we used to get, like, anyway. But here's the thing about this Drew McIntyre set. What did this do? First of all, Drew McIntyre has looked pathetic since winning the Rumble. Now, he didn't give himself any snazzy new nicknames. He wasn't, he didn't call himself the Dreammaker. He didn't call himself the Sexy Scotsman. No dumb nicknames. But, like, okay, MVP is not really doing anything here for Drew. There was no boost. All he did was kick MVP. He's offering his services. Why is MVP offering his service? He just is, basically. He wants to. Once again, there's nothing built here. There's no backstory. There was nothing building for weeks. It's just like all of a sudden he's giving him an offer. Drew doesn't like the offer, so he kicks him in the face. It's brilliant TV. Now, I know, like I said, wrestling doesn't have to be rocket science. But it's not. But, come on. What are we even... What's the story we're telling? Like, let me ask you a question. Like, why am I watching this? Oh, well, MVP's in it. Okay, well, MVP's in it. Well, all right. Well, MVP, just being MVP is not enough. There needs to be a reason. What is MVP doing here? Oh, he's offering his services. Well, why do I care about that? First of all, why would he even need to make this offer to Drew McIntyre when he's going to WrestleMania? Wouldn't this make more sense if he was like in the mid-card? Like, they're just wasting time. That Brock Lesnar doesn't have a date, booked for, I guess, until they do the Saudi Arabia show. And they were too lazy to do any pre-tapes. So they've got no promos saved, no segments, no nothing that they could use. And, they really messed up. They had both guys on the show last week. They didn't use them effectively. All they did was have Brock come out and attack Ricochet. Is that his WrestleMania opponent? No, that's his Super Showdown opponent. But it's more important for them to, like, do the Saudi Arabia stuff. Like, what a giant mess. And they can't even, they're so used to, like, smushing people together in different feuds that they couldn't do that with Drew, at least. Like no, they can't do that. That would make too much sense. I didn't really get this. Like, I get it. We want to have a nostalgic moment. We haven't seen the MVP lounge in a long time. But, like, here, I'm just like, okay, there was nothing really interesting said. There was nothing that needed to be said here. It's just a lazy segment just thrown together. At total random, really, because MVP, like, had his last match 2 weeks ago. He wasn't on last week's show, and he's not here again. Here he is again. Like, and we didn't expect to see him, so it's a nice surprise. But, like, if you're gonna surprise us, let it be something a little bit more. We had Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo fighting it out. Okay. Like, I don't know, like, some people said, and I even seen on my social media, saying that they like Angel Garza. I do not see, and they say like they feel he's charismatic. I don't see, and I think a few people said it also on my YouTube video too, like in the comments, and like, guys, I gotta say, I don't see it. To me, it seems like, Angel Garza is like is not really comfortable even speaking in English. I'm just saying, like, that's not a knock against him, but the stuff he's saying sounds super generic. Like saying like, like just saying he's irresistible to all women. Like, it's just very, very generic lines that they've had. Like, they've had these like lover boy Latino characters since Latino Heat. You had Latin Lover, right, over in, what was it, AAA. Like, you've got 1,001 of these same characters. He's just basically copying like old lover boy characters. It's nothing new. And Angel Garza is not bringing anything to the table. I look at him, I don't see anything. I see a lot of people that were saying positive things about Garza don't really like Andrade, so maybe it's like they rather see anybody but him. I like Andrade, and as far as me, if you put Andrade and Garza side by side, there's a clear difference there, and Andrade clearly stands out as looking the better of the two, and it's not by a small margin. It's a pretty large margin, by the way, at least in my opinion. Then Angel Garza beats Cedric Alexander. Boy, this guy is like, Cedric Alexander, has he been injured or something? Or has he been on 205 Live? I don't know, but anyway, Angel Garza pins him. There's really not a whole lot to say here, to be perfectly honest. Like, okay, it was just a match. You got your little thing with Umberto there. Not much to speak of. I am not crazy about this whole let's replace Andrade with another Latino guy. Let's replace him with the cousin. Not really feeling that. I think that's a really cheap tactic. Like, let's just throw this guy on. Like, it's one thing if the guy, like, was maybe impressive looking or maybe bigger than Andrade, but you bring out a smaller guy, a guy that looks less impressive. I'm not going to like support this. I'm not going to like come out and say, "Oh, this is wonderful. I'm excited to see this." No, I'm not. But some people are for some reason. We've got Rhea Ripley backstage cutting a promo. Some girl who, like, I didn't even recognize walks up to her. It's Sarah Logan. And it did not look like Sarah Logan. I don't know what it is. I think she, like, lost weight or something like that. Anyway, Sarah Logan has, like, the worst, like, I thought the face paint she had before looked bad. It looks even worse. She's got, like, some stupid looking thing over her nose. Like, it's really poorly painted. Like, she did it herself in the mirror. But she doesn't have the accuracy of, like, Goldust or someone like that who's really good with face paint. So it looked really bad and ugly. And, like, Shayna Baszler says, "Who are you?" Thoughts exactly. But, like, does anyone realize that this was a girl that was consistently on Raw and a number of pay-per-views in the Riot Squad? And now it's like they don't even want to, like, acknowledge who she is. So she comes out, she starts cutting her promo. You instantly see why someone may ask, "Who are you?" Even though clearly the announce team should know who she is because they've been watching her for God knows how long. But like, she sounded like a nobody. For some reason, she looks a lot less like a nobody because, like, I think that was the thing. She was wearing, like, makeup here, but she didn't have any eye makeup or anything. Like, I'm sorry to say, but she really looked like a train wreck. She really did not, like, usually Sarah Logan looked better than that. I'm not saying, like, attractive-wise, but she usually looks a little more, has a little bit more pizzazz to her appearance. Not saying she's like a Charlotte or someone like that, but she usually stands out a lot more, and she really was, like, fading into the background. Like, who, like, seriously, who is this? So Rhea Ripley rips her apart. No pun intended there. Maybe slightly. Charlotte comes out. Rhea says, you know, you haven't even accepted my challenge yet. And Charlotte still not accepting the challenge. And I don't really get what the suspense is here. We're going to talk a little bit more about the element of suspense in a moment. But honestly, like, what's the suspense here? Like, we all know she's going to accept the challenge. And I don't get how people are behind this idea. Now, I like Rhea Ripley. I like the appearance here. She looks like she could stand toe-to-toe with a Charlotte. It's the right proportions and everything. She looks tough, powerful. So I don't have a problem in that department. The problem is the stakes with this match. Just because Charlotte has not won the NXT title doesn't mean she should go for it. Because, you know, well, wait a minute, she did win the NXT title, just she hasn't won it lately. And the reason why she hasn't won it lately is because she was promoted to the main roster. And and there's a reason why it's called the main roster. Like, people want to, like, act like NXT is equal to SmackDown and Raw. And I know that that's what they were trying to sell when they did the Survivor Series win and the whole Survivor Series pay-per-view and booking it that way. You know, they don't want it to look at it like developmental. They don't want to look at it as promoting anybody, right? You're just being... So here's the thing. Why would you be called to a main roster? Why would you be called up from this... You know, it's not a promotion. It's developmental. There's no other way of saying it. This other brand, okay? I'll be kind, right? So... They want to call these people up from this other show. And, you know, why would they do that? And how come they get paid more when they're on the main roster? It's a promotion, okay? I don't know why you guys would look at it any other way. I know people really like NXT. They like that it's even more indie style than the main roster already is. I don't know how much more indie you could possibly want it, but NXT fulfills those desires, just like AEW. That's why those two are competing on Wednesday nights, because they deliver all that type of flippy, dippy, Scooda action right there. You know, just all the suicidas you can muster. So, you know, that's what people are into. That's fine. Okay, Rhea Ripley doesn't wrestle that style. But the thing is, anyway, with all that aside and what that show represents, it still doesn't make any sense. Why, first of all, why is Rhea Ripley bringing a NXT title, a developmental title? The whole dream, wasn't it supposed to be when Charlotte won her first WWE Women's Championship or the Divas Championship at the time, whatever it was called? You know, wasn't the whole thing supposed to be like she won that title, which was way better than her winning the NXT women's title? Wasn't that supposed to be the... So now it's like, oh, well, you know, you haven't won this one in a while. Look, no one is going to buy that title being worth a damn. I'm sorry, it's a secondary title. That's like the OVW Championship. That's the FCW Championship rebranded as far as I'm concerned. You people could come at me with all the excuses in the world. Oh, they compete with AEW on Wednesday nights. Whatever. It's still not a main roster title. It's not the women's championship. Okay, that's not the WWE Women's Championship. That's the NXT one. It doesn't make sense to have her go backwards and challenge for a title that she already won when she was in developmental, because she's past that already. She's a 10-time, right, women's championship and champion in WWE. So why would she need to win that title? It doesn't make any sense. Like, all it shows is that they don't have anything left for Charlotte, because she's already won the title so many times. Having her win it again at Mania, you know, having her win it in such close proximity to one another, to each one of those reigns, has made it feel completely, you know, like unspecial. It doesn't feel special anymore. It doesn't feel like an accomplishment anymore at this point. It's not going to feel refreshing or new. So they're coming up with probably the lamest idea possible. Let's just put her up against the NXT champion. Whatever. And now they're going to draw it out for several weeks. Oh, why is she not accepting? We all know that she is. So there's no point in dragging something out that we already know is the end result. And there's really no excitement to it. There's no reason why it needs to be dragged out. It's just like, okay, we got nothing. So let's just wait till next week. That way we can say we did something. Because if she accepts, then Rhea's just going to sit there. And maybe there's going to be some sign pointing. You never know. Also, there really hasn't been any sign pointing. You notice that? Are they not putting the sign up there? Or I'm just not seeing that when I watch. I don't know. Am I missing it? Ricochet defeated Bobby Lashley. This is sad. This is really, really sad. Like, and what is this thing? Like, you hear how Tom Phillips is saying, Brock Lesnar has problems with smaller opponents. Like, you know how stupid that sounds? Like, why would Brock Lesnar have trouble with small opponents? Yes, that's your fault that you had Balor take him to the limit. Wait, by the way, what happened to Finn Balor? Oh, yeah, that's right. He got demoted to NXT. So, you could use all the excuses in the world with Balor. They needed him on Wednesday nights. Whatever. They made tons of mistakes having Brock Lesnar look weak against smaller opponents. And that's the idea they're trying to sell. Like, honestly, like, Ricochet is, like, even smaller than Balor. Smaller than Daniel Bryan. It's way smaller than AJ. You are going to honestly, okay, may not be as small as Rey Mysterio, but he ain't no Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio gets by the charisma and the legacy of Rey Mysterio. So he gets a pass. But you're going to honestly tell me, like, and this is what you're giving, like, okay, I thought, like, the Saudi Arabia is the most important show to you. So why is this the best thing you could come up with? Are the Saudis big marks for Ricochet? Did they really like this guy so much? Did the Saudi king request to have Ricochet facing off against Brock Lesnar? Because I find that very hard to believe. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just saying. It just seems a bit hard to believe that is the top order on the list of matches that they're requiring. But Ricochet beats Lashley. And the way how he even sets him up for his finisher, just drop kicks him. It's like a weak drop kick. It's not even a good looking drop kick. Lashley falls over like a ton of bricks. He goes up, he does the 630, and that's it. Thanks Lashley for all the effort you put into all those segments. We made you look like a goofball. Now we're going to have you job out to this guy. What happened to the Lashley that I saw in the YouTube comments, and I agree wholeheartedly? Didn't this Lashley beat Roman Reigns clean? Didn't we see that not too long ago? Did we not see that from Bobby Lashley? Wasn't Bobby Lashley in the position to be the next big main eventer? I guess, Lashley's career, I don't know what it is, if they're punishing him for all those years in Impact and TNA. I don't know what it is, but maybe that might be the cause of why they're mistreating him the way they are. But, I just don't know how you look at a guy like Bobby Lashley and just say, yeah, let's have him lose to Ricochet. This would have been unheard of 10 years ago. Now, this is I kind of believe it. It doesn't really surprise me anymore. I don't know. I just kind of look at this and I say to myself, I'm not surprised. I'm disappointed in them, but I'm not surprised. Then up next we have probably one of the most peculiar segments I've ever seen in my life. And I want to bring it back to what I said during the Rhea Ripley Charlotte segment. Why what is the point of of dragging something out, of having suspense and building that suspense, if there's really no reason for it. You know what I mean? Like, we all know Charlotte is going to accept Rhea Ripley's challenge because she's got no one else. Obviously Becky Lynch is going to be busy with Baszler. Bayley is probably going to be busy with someone else on the roster. I don't know. Anyway, Bayley's like an afterthought. No one even cares about her. But okay, so what is the purpose of having Orton drag out the reason that he gave a concerto to Edge? Is it really that big of a deal? Like honestly, that he's struggling with this decision so much? And they have done this countless of times. I said it when it happened. I said, now go back and watch my review. Go back and watch the one that's titled the Raw After the Rumble. I said that they are going to give us the most BS explanation for Orton's attack on Edge. I said, ready yourself for that. And sure enough, once again, I was right, like I always am here on this channel when I do the review on these shows. Because I wasn't born yesterday. I've seen quite a few shows in my time, and I have been watching this show for a very long time, and I have seen how they do business for the last couple of years, and this is really the same formulaic approach. We don't have an explanation. When we think of one, we'll let you know, right? So that's exactly what they're doing. So by buying time, they might actually think of an explanation. But spoiler alert, right? Paul Heyman, spoiler alert. I'm going to tell you what the spoiler is. They don't know, and they will never know. They're not going to give us an explanation. And if we get one, we're going to get one that either doesn't make sense or is going to be really weak. Instead, we're just having Orton saying, that hurt Edge more than it hurt me. Wow, cliche number 713. So Matt Hardy comes out. Whoa, where'd this guy come from? Jobber Matt Hardy comes out. This guy that, speaking of, people that WWE has failed, do I really need to go down this road again? I might as well. Matt Hardy has one of the most brilliant gimmicks of all time. I guess Vince McMahon either doesn't get it or whatever the case may be. They screw Matt over. They give him the gimmick. They play around with it. Oh, we're going to give him the gimmick. Maybe we won't. And then they give him the gimmick. They're half-hearted with it. They apologize for a segment. And then they completely drop the angle. Matt Hardy is wandering until he meets up with Jeff Hardy again. Then they go and win the tag titles. Jeff gets injured. Drop the titles. Oh, but remember, Matt Hardy's still the more charismatic of the two, right? He's the better actor. He's the better promo guy. Oh, okay, so we could wait to see Jeff. Get well soon, Jeff, but we still got Matt. Still a great single star. Nope. Keep him on the sidelines. Screw Matt. We don't need him. Because we have all these charismatic people on the roster like Ricochet and Samoa Joe. All these great characters that have such great development. I honestly can't tell you why. But anyway, so Matt Hardy comes out and says he wants to know why he did why Orton did what he did to Edge. And he says, why does he want to know it? Like they kind of already know that we're going to be like, why is he coming out there? Oh, because he has the link to Edge. Now they talk about the TLC match, and everything, and their rivalry, and okay, that was nice, but he says that when Edge retired, he completely forgot about it. Basically, translation, we have nothing booked here. Once again, Edge is not on the show. Second week in a row. Okay, I get it. Maybe you want to sell the injury last week. You don't even have any via satellite. No via satellite this week. I don't get it. According to the ratings, the night after the Rumble, they had an upswing in ratings. No doubt that was because Edge returned, and it was a big shock. It got probably one of the most legit reactions from a crowd in a very long time, because it was unexpected. Edge hinted at it, but we weren't sure if it was real or not, and it ended up being real. So they give you Edge. They give you a nice little segment there, a nice moment to remember to end the Raw 2 weeks ago. We fast forward and Edge is not there again. And, we're left saying to ourselves, okay, so you got Matt Hardy. All right, well, Matt Hardy deserves some face time. They have a little scuffle. Oren KOs him and he walks out. Still no explanation. Like, what was the point of that? Like, honestly, again, just like the MVP segment, what did we get out of that? Once again, there's some nostalgia. We've got Matt talking about the past. But once again, they're counting on nostalgia. How long can they keep the past up just because they have not made new moments, or very few of them? Nothing that anyone could really remember. We're always going back to the same things. Oh, remember the MVP lounge back from 06? Oh, remember the TLC matches? Oh boy, those matches were great 20 years ago. And we're still talking about the same things. Like, how come we're not talking about things from 5 years ago? How come we're not talking about things from 8 years ago? Because no one cared about that stuff. Because even back then, they were still trying to, get this mileage out of Undertaker and Kane and everything. So you think back, you think back to 5 years ago, right? Or was it 6 years ago? What's the memory you remember most from that year? Undertaker streak ending, right? Back in 2014. That involved an older wrestler. So you don't have any memories of Samoa Joe or Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins or any of these guys. Why? Because they haven't been involved in anything that good. Or anything that they've been involved in has either been average or subpar at best. There's no moments. There was nothing worth remembering. Anything that was worth remembering was something that was from the past or reminded you of the past, that had some star from the past. Am I wrong? Go back and honestly take a look at what we remember. And it's always something involving a wrestler from the past. That was the most memorable thing of the year, basically. Alistair Black defeated Akira Tazawa. I don't get this. This is the third week in a row that Alistair is sitting in the middle of the ring. And we all know this guy, all they've been having him do is talk for months. Now what they've done is give him squash matches and then have him talk. Progress, right? What progress? What character development? Honestly, what is Alistair Black even talking about? Okay, you said that you were going to go around knocking on people's doors, right? So I don't see him looking for competition. If he did he find Akira Tazawa? That's not what the announcer said. This seemed like a pre-booked match. Honestly, what are we doing with these guys? Everyone is just in stasis. No one goes anywhere. No one develops. From week to week, everyone remains the same. Even the hottest angle doesn't even move. Orton and Edge, there's nothing there. Nothing has progressed. It's just oh, I still don't know why I did it. Oh, maybe they'll think up the reason next week. Then Cringey Lynch comes out for a promo. She asked for Shayna Baszler to come out. She doesn't come out. Does Becky go and look for her? No, she doesn't. Well, thanks. That was great. What a great segment. So she comes back 2 hours later looking for her. After she drives herself to the hospital. She drives herself back, by the way. They would really allow her to do that. Twice. Oh, I saw the doctor. Hey, guys, I'm just going to take the ambulance back. Yeah, sure, go ahead. We're big Cringey Lynch fans. Yeah. Oh, my God. Like, honestly, like, why? Like, when they finish writing this show, even if it's 2 hours before it airs, when they rewrite it, do they really look at this and say, oh, yeah, that seems like a good show. Yeah, let's go with that. That looks like a good show. We should put that on TV. Then in the main event, you've got Seth Rollins, AOP, and Moifi defeating Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and the Vikings and the Viking Raiders. Yeah, that's right. It's not Buddy Moifi anymore. It's just Moifi. So I want to thank John Carlos on Facebook for bringing that to my attention. So, just in case anyone is wondering, Moifi is spelt like this. In case you're wondering. Moifi is the... Oh, there you go. See, Moyfee. So, if you're going to write in the comments, that's exactly how it's spelt. It's Moifi. Okay? So, that's his name. He just has the last name. It's it really... what's like so funny to me about that name is that's from Home Alone. Remember, that's his next door neighbor's last name. He goes, my house is being robbed. My name is Murphy. So my mind automatically goes to Kevin McAllister's next door neighbor when I think of that. Yeah. So anyway, not the guy with the shovel, the people that live on the other side that have the kid in the beginning. Anyway, obscure reference for you. Maybe not that obscure, but there you guys go. There's your show. It was absolutely terrible. I really kind of despised every single moment of it. I mean, that is just a worthless show. Every single minute of it is bad. Like, this is a WrestleMania season, and we say this every year. It really is the same thing every year, but they do not care. They could really, they couldn't care less that it's Mania season because they got the Saudi deal. Even before they had the Saudi Arabia stuff, they still didn't care. It's WrestleMania season, but they're like, it's WrestleMania. We can just put anything on there anymore. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't know. I mean, in all honesty, like, Rhea Ripley and Charlotte seems like it will be a good match. I could care less about Shayna Baszler and Cringey Lynch, especially if they're going to continue with this cannibalism vampire gimmick. What a mistake that was. And then you got Drew and Brock Lesnar. I think that's going to be a pretty good match. An Oren and Edge. I don't think that they're going to do it at Super Showdown. I hope not. Hope they save it for Mania. So, if that's the case, it seems like Mania might have a decent card this year. Sure as hell sounds better than last year's show. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all notifications when I post on my new videos. And, guys, thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.